in this area. There's witchcraft, there is divination, and there is sorcery. They're all part of one package deal. If you want a distinction, witchcraft operates primarily through spells and curses. Divination is the fortune-telling aspect, and every fortune-teller is demonstrating divination. And sorcery operates through some kind of object to gain power over people. Like, one example is love potions. You want to make somebody fall in love with you, so you put something in his drink that makes him love you. In Africa, the majority of barren women, more than 90%, if they can't have children, will go to the witch doctor and get a potion that will enable them to become pregnant. That's sorcery. Sorcery operates through charms, through superstition, through lucky horseshoes, through black cats, and it operates through music. This is nothing new to those who spend time in Africa. Basically, most original Afromusic was designed to expose people to demonic powers. And they would go on beating the drums and dancing until the demon entered. That was what they were aiming. Well, it came from Africa, way of South America to America, and we call it rock and roll. But the same power is in it. You watch a teenager who goes in and listens for a couple of hours to that music, and that young person will come out with glazed eyes. They're under a different power. Now, I'm not really concerned whether we use the word witchcraft or sorcery. Whichever I use, it's one and the same thing. Let's stick with witchcraft. So witchcraft is a work of the flesh. Now that would surprise you if you didn't go to the scripture for revelation. What is the way that the fleshly nature expresses witchcraft? Well, it sets aside divinely appointed authority. It may be in the home, it may be in the church, maybe in the school, it may be in various areas. The three key words that represent witchcraft are manipulate, intimidate, and dominate. And wherever you meet manipulation, intimidation, and domination, you're in contact with witchcraft. God never manipulates, He never intimidates, and He never dominates. Witchcraft is the way that the disobedient, rebellious, fleshly nature gets what it wants. Man was born to have dominion, created to have dominion. When he fell, he lost the right to have legitimate dominion. And as long as he was in rebellion against God, he could not exercise legitimate dominion. So, he still has the desire to dominate, but he can't use legitimate authority, so he uses witchcraft. And you find this prevalent all through our culture. Let me give you just some simple examples. You start with a little baby in its crib. Its nappy is wet, it's uncomfortable, so it starts to cry. Along comes Mummy, finds out the problem is, picks it up, changes the nappy, and pulls it. Well, next time it wants to be cuddled, it cries as if its nappy was wet. But it isn't. What's that? Manipulation. How does it start? See, I'm not talking about something from the moon. Or the little girl wants I was going to say a candy, but I realize I'm in the wrong place to say that, wants a sweet. But Mummy doesn't want to give her a sweet, but a neighbor's come in to visit. And the little girl comes and says, Mummy, can I have a sweet? And says, no. And the little girl starts to act up and scream, and the mother is embarrassed. So in order to quieten her, she gives her the sweet. What? Manipulation. The little girl knew that while the neighbor was there, the mother wouldn't enforce discipline. Perhaps the commonest general expression of witchcraft is the way wives deal with their husbands. No, you may think I'm joking, but I mean, you can smile, but I'm not the least bit joking. I would have to say, let's take another nation so as we don't embarrass ourselves here. I would have to say, in the United States, there are millions of women who've never known any other way to deal with men but to manipulate. Oh, you don't really love me. Oh, you don't care for me. I feel so hurt. What do you want? I want a new dress. I mean, that's a little bit, it's done with more subtlety than that. There it is. In the 1960s in the United States, a book was published called How to Be a Jewish Mother. It was written by a Jewish young man, and his mother wrote the introduction. And she said, I know this is a book. I haven't read it, but my son wrote it. Well, it is a classic study in witchcraft. There's a whole series of different applications, but one of the lessons is entitled, How to Get Young to Play the Violin in Public Without Using Any Motivation but Guilt. You know how much your father and I paid for your lessons? Yes, your Aunt Jemima, and she's come all this way, and she's just come to hear you play. Let me tell you, any time people use guilt to get you to do things, they're manipulating you. God never does that. So the divine way is to be honest, to be open, to confront one another in love. There's many other forms of manipulation. A father tends, rather than manipulate, to intimidate. He has a son. This is such a common scenario. He's a critical man. He's a perfectionist. He's quick-tempered. His children don't live up to his standards. And every time they displease him, he throws a fit. Well, the result is that everybody in the family will do anything. They'll bend over backwards to avoid another of those fits of rage. What is that? Manipulation or intimidation, whatever you like to call it. See, it's always an illegitimate way of getting what you want. Then you come into church life. Because now we're in dangerous territory, but many, thank God not all, but many ministers are very insecure persons. I mean, I know hundreds, I'm not theorizing. I think insecurity is the greatest single personal problem of men in the ministry. And an insecure person is liable to act in some ways illogical ways. So the pastor is building his congregation, and he struggles along till he gets 100 people, and he's working hard at it, and one of the main families decides to go to another church. This, of course, never happens in New Zealand. So now this threatens his ego, understand? It threatens his security. Says something like, I promise you this, if you leave this church, you'll never prosper. You'll never be successful wherever you go. I've talked to many people who had that kind of pronouncement made upon them. What is that? It's witchcraft. Right inside the ministry. Another way that happens, none of you